Cheers, everybody. So let me get my hair under control because as we go deeper into the magical, my hair gets even wilder. So and let me preface the video by saying this is not investment advice, like I did on the last one. Just say these are the opportunities that I'm doing, and I hope some of y'all want to do as well, and we can catch that opportunity window while it's there before it passes by. So my last video I talked about diversification and what do I believe is better than a sealed box of one set? Well, having like a box of a variety of sets, right? So one of the things I'm doing is 12 packs, 2 Fallouts, 1 Ravnica, 1 Dungeons and Dragons, Baldur's Gate, 4 Dungeons and Dragons, Adventures into the Forgotten Realms. I really love these crossover products. 1 Wilds of Eldraine, which has the anime confetti foils. 1 Modern Horizons 3, super strong cards in there. And March of the Machines Aftermath, mini collector booster, and Unfinity collector booster. Mark Rosewater says possibly the last unset that they're going to do. And this one has playable cards for the first time in the unsets. So TCG player prices of those, if you add them all up, it's like $3.18 before tax, so like $3.40 after tax. I'm selling a couple of those opportunity sets, as I'm going to call them, for the 12 packs at $2.89. So it's like 10% off. You get to build your own little collection, and we travel 8 years together and see where we're at. So this video is going to be on collections, right? How do I build a Magic collection that will appreciate over time? And something that I'm proud of and that I can share with people, right? So the first step in analyzing any sort of long-term strategy that you're going to do for growth, where maybe you want to get a box that, a Fallout box that today is like 500 on TCG Player, so let's say 450, and 8 years from now, hopefully it's like 4,000. How do you know what your price range is and how much that you can put towards Magic without putting yourself at a risk that you might be forced to sell and then possibly take a loss? So the first step is don't overspend, right? So how do we calculate what's overspending, what's underspending? Well, the first thing is let's set our expectations, right? Any long-term growth, let's just conservatively say that our growth is going to be at 8% a year, which is the average annual stock market returns. If it's greater than that, amazing. But let's just put it into our minds that 8% a year, if we hit that mark, we're going to be perfectly happy and perfectly fine, because that is the gold standard for a lot of seasoned investors that are invested in and diversified into a bunch of different things. So if we can only expect ourselves to make 8% a year on average growth, if we have credit card debt and we're not paying our credit cards in full every statement period, what does that mean? Well, the credit card companies are charging us 19%, 29%, 24%. If we're trying to put any money towards any type of investment and we have credit card debt, we're spinning our tires in the mud, right? We're literally not going anything. We're burning more than we're making, right? And so it's before anyone ever tells you, oh, you should do this investment, you should put your money in this, always think of how much can it potentially make me, which is always think your max number is going to be 8%. And always think of, am I doing anything right now that's losing me more than I'm making that? And the first thing I always tell everyone is don't even talk about investing or anything like that until you have credit card debt in order. Because credit card debt will push you down and it'll keep you down. Because those interest rates are absolutely insane. Now, if you have a mortgage or investment properties where, we're able to get like a 4 to 6% interest rate depending on when you purchased it, I'm not going to do anything additional principal to my investment property, because the most I would save is 5%, because that's the interest rate, right? So why put that money and pay that off if my interest rate's 5%, if I can take that money and put it into something else and make 8%, right? Now, if my mortgage interest rate was 15%, oh, then I'm not doing any investments. I'm putting everything I can towards that, because I need to start saving, because every dollar I put towards that property or that debt saves me 15%, and a dollar saved is a dollar earned, right? So that's how you want to calculate, am I ready for doing an investment, right? And there'll be a lot of people that will try to take your money, that will try to sell you services that where you're not even getting like actual Magic product, or you're not really building anything. They'll try and charge you for services, and they're not even going to ask you, are you in credit card debt? Do you have any other debt that's over 9%, right? So that's the first most important key is making sure that you're in the right position to start a collection or start an opportunity. Okay, so let's say you're in the right spot, right? Okay, well, what's next? So there's many different ways of building a Magic collection, right? You can do it the standard way that you see like a true collector. What is a true collector? A true collector is someone who plays Magic, buys Magic, and actually sometimes they even go and they have like one of each and every set. Like in sports, in the sports world of baseball, a true collector is someone who's like a super fan of one player. They get everything of that player, jerseys, cards, everything. They are like a super fan, a true collector, and their collection has so much value because everything's there in one spot, right? It becomes so much worth, it becomes worth so much more than the individual parts. Well, in Magic, there are people who, when a set comes out, like Modern Horizons 3, they get one of each of every card that was released in the set, and they put it in a binder, right? So you can be a set collector where you try and get every single card. Or you can just be like a casual collector where the cards that you have and the cards that you play with are only the cards that you use, right? And you keep those and you try and keep them in good quality. And an interesting thing is that, you know, just because, and as you're collecting, you might come across some older cards, right? And you're like, oh, maybe that's a good opportunity. Well, just because a card is old does not make it good for appreciation or good for a collection. There are hundreds of alpha and beta cards that are literally worth nothing. There's like the Power 9, then there's like a bunch of cards under that are worth a lot of money, and then there's like bulk, which are still like worth nothing to this day. So just because something is old and something has a low print supply does not guarantee that it's going to have a high price. Because going back to the last video, supply and demand, yeah, it might have a really low supply, but if it has a really low demand as well, the price is going to reflect a lower price, right? Something has to have high demand and low supply. When you get those two together, recipe for success. So what are some examples of things that might have low supply and high demand? Well, top staples, you know, unique arts with limited supply, or the first version printing of something. Think of Sol Ring. How many times Sol Ring is like in every single Commander deck, right? There's like, I don't even know how many Sol Rings floating around. But go in TCG Player and look at the first Sol Ring ever made, and look at the price of that. You know, it's crazy. And then look at that Sol Ring in a PSA 9 or 10. And what's PSA? Well, we'll get into it a little bit, but it's a grading company, right? Where they put the portrait in a frame. So those prices are insanely high because they're the first version and there's no more of the first version. And those are staples, right? Everyone plays Sol Ring. So, but only do this if you're thinking about trading. You have existing stuff and you want to convert it into something that has like a staple that is, and it's a version, maybe a secret layer version, or something that has a very low print supply that you really love and you're attracted to the art. There's Kaladesh inventions, there's serialized versions of cards, things that you have, that you feel a certain way towards, because then you'll have passion about it. And then anytime in the future when you want to sell it, your passion will just flow about it, and you have all these memories of the cards that you liked. And other people value that, and they want to hear it. People love listening to stories, and people love telling stories, right? So don't ever be speculative. and like I said, only do this if you're thinking about trading the existing cards you have. Don't ever purchase a card that you do not intend to play with. That's called speculation. And we don't speculate on individual cards because nobody knows what individual card is going to go up or down, right? Only get cards that you actually intend to play with. And if you do want to get a card that you play with, try and go for the unique version, or maybe the first version of that print run, the limited supply, the nice version of that card, if it's like a staple. If it's like a common or whatever, you know, you might not need to. But still, even for commons, there are, you know, very few secret layer versions or promo versions or things like that you can get that will still retain a certain amount of value, especially if it's the first ever printing version of that card. And then, of course, get it at the right price. Trade for the right price. Fortunately, in our hobby, we have a TCG player, which is like super generous with the amount of data that they provide. You know, they actually updated it so now they have volume. They show volume. Why are they giving us that info for free? I don't know, but you have volume trading. You have price graphs for 1 year. People get that data and export it and put it on a website so you can track it for even more than a year. It's absolutely beautiful. If you're a person who loves data, I love data. You know, that is the dream. And so TCG Player, we have this resource that can price anything. You know, you can use scryfall.com. It shows you all the versions of a card. Say you really like a card, look for a version. Was it a limited release? Was it a cool version? You know, get that. So the other thing is condition is everything, right? And so is provenance. It's sort of backwards because, you know, for me, I really like the stories behind cards. And when a card is played and the person has a lot of stories, that card carries those stories with it, right? But it's sort of backwards in the industry where people want like untouched cards, like pristine. Condition is everything. There are PSA grade 10s, so PSA 10s, like untouched, unused versions of cards that are like $5,000. And then there's the PSA 1, which is like heavily played, damaged, ripped, all this stuff. That's like $50. It's just crazy the difference between those two levels of grading. And people pay a premium for the most pristine version of a card. So if you have a card and you know and you really like that card and you don't want to get ruined while playing with it, you can go and send it graded and they'll put it in a slab. They'll verify its authenticity and they'll put it in a slab. But then, okay, Dane, well, how do I play with this slab? I can't just put it in my deck. What you can do is you can get like a basic land, right? Like a mountain or a swamp or whatever. Put it in a sleeve and with a pen draw on it the name of the card, and it'll be like a reference card. So that when you draw it out of your deck, you drew a basic land, but on it it's drawn with the name of the card. And when you're playing with your friends, you can be like, "Oh guys, look, check out what I just drew," and then you can put your slab out, and everyone can see it for reference. But really, you're passing around this island with the name on it. But if anyone wants to read it, they can read the slab. Just so you're not throwing the slab around, and you don't have a card in your deck that you're bending and shuffling and all that. Another thing I recommend is double sleeve your cards that you really like. Inner sleeves, I use this place, this company online, Wintra. It's on Amazon. Standard card sleeves. They're called perfect fit sleeves. They're like really fit, like really snug with the card. It takes a little bit of practice. And then a Dragon Shield normal sleeve. And you can put, this one goes first, the perfect sleeve, and then you put the Dragon sleeve on it after. And it looks something like this. So you'll have a card and it'll actually, there's a perfect sleeve on there. It's hard to make out, but there's a perfect sleeve. And then you put that one in there and you put them inverse. So that's my recommendation for keeping your cards in good condition. And if you ever have anything graded, use a reference card so that you can like show your friends, hey, check out this card that I have. It's insane. But you don't actually have it in your deck, and it keeps the condition great. Condition is everything. And why else do people like graded stuff? Well, people like graded stuff because it preserves the condition, and it's sort of weird because like even ancient coins, provenance is everything. Provenance means where did I get it from? Document the stuff that you bought and where you bought it at. If you bought, if you want to buy the collector packs, right? I'll send you an invoice, and you'll have my info. You'll have my mortgage company's info. You'll have a documented timeline of where you got it from and its origin. And I can send you like my Amazon order or something to track where it originally came from, so that everyone knows that these are legitimate things, right? Or a sealed box of Fallout or whatever you want to do. You want to document where you bought it, right? Keep your invoices, keep your receipts, throw them on a Google Drive, because 30 years from now, when you want to sell your collection, we don't know the technology that people might be using to fake stuff, right? And this is so prevalent in the ancient coin industry today. When you want to buy an owl, you know, an Athenian owl, and the coin looks so perfect, it's almost unbelievable. Like there's no way this thing is 2,000 years old. Well, sometimes you're right, there is no way, because it's totally fake, right? So you have to have provenance. Was this coin in someone else's collection? And do we have the paper trail to document where they bought their coin? Oh, they bought their coin in 1895, way before the technology was good to duplicate these fake coins. Boom. That coin just became worth $3,000 more because there's no doubt about where it came from. You find a random coin, super mint condition with no paper trail, you know, you're not going to be able to sell it for a lot because people are going to have that doubt, like, how do I know this wasn't made in 2024 with the great technology nowadays, right? Provenance and condition is everything. Let's see, what else do we have here? Well, yeah, we've been talking about grading cards. Why collector? Why am I a big fan of this word, collector? Why don't I just, you know, I have some sealed sets and stuff, but why do I really love collector? Well, in reality, every card is a collector. This is just a marketing thing. It just says collector. Wizards knows it just says collector. But people like that it says collector. It's the same thing with serialized cards. Every card is a serialized card because there was only, you know, the Black Lotus, there was only X amount printed. No more getting printed. So in essence, they are already serialized. But why do people like serialized cards? Because it's printed on there for you. You don't have to do the research to figure out how many exactly were printed. It's just right there for you. It makes everything easier. Why do people like collector packs? Because it says collector. When you have it, you can say, I'm a collector. It's like, it's just one of those really funny marketing strategies that works because people like it and people want it to work. So it's sort of funny how these marketing things, you know, people hate on the marketing tactics so much, yet people buy it more often than not. So it's like, it actually works because people want it to work. They want to see collector. They want to see the serialized. They want it to be easy and know exactly, boom, this is what it represents, and there's no question about it. People like simplicity. So we've been talking about individual cards, and again, like I say, never buy a card that you don't intend to play with, that you don't intend to use, because then you're just speculating on, oh, I think this card's going to go up, so I'm going to buy it. Never do that. What's better than doing that? Buying sealed packs, right? A sealed pack represents one of every card in the set, right? And if you want to take it a step further, a sealed box, right? A sealed box represents one of every card in the set as well. Just more opportunities to get it. And also people buy these because they like to display them. Collectors buy them because they like to display sealed boxes and the pristine condition that they were in when they were just released, right? So that's sort of, you know, an interesting dynamic of collecting. And the last thing that I'll end this on is that what's so interesting about sealed packs and sealed boxes, and why those are some of the best ways to go towards in the future. Well, they represent the experience of opening the pack, and they retain that experience because they're unopened. And you can share, and you can sell and share that experience to somebody else by restricting yourself of that experience. So have joy and have a passion about not opening them and keeping them and collecting them and being able to share that experience with someone in the future. And even if the cards in a set are only worth, let's say all the cards in the set, the EV, the expected value is only like $500, you can still have a sealed box be worth $4,000, where it makes no sense. Why in the world is the sealed box worth $4,000 yet the value of the cards is only worth $200? That is what's to be expected in this type of industry, in this type of sector. That's the expected outcome, where the sealed version is worth much more than the individual parts. Because it also is the same aspect that we talked about a collection, right? Some collections, when they unite everything, they're worth more than the individual parts. The value is worth more. Well, those sealed boxes and those sealed packs have an experience that is worth more than the individual cards. And for people who are Lord of the Rings fans, for people who are Fallout fans that never got to experience opening it, playing with it, feeling the cards, seeing what they get, that experience has a value that you can put a price on. And that is the reason why we see, as time goes on and fewer sealed boxes are available, the price of a sealed box and the price of a sealed pack goes up. And the actual total value of the cards, it still goes up, but it does not match the price of the sealed box. So those are some levels of collecting. Quick recap: you can buy the cards that you play with, get them graded, keep them positioned, use reference cards, keep them preserved. The next step after that is maybe getting one of every card of the set to unite in a collection and keep that documented, like one of every card of Modern Horizons 3. It's expensive, but people like that too. And then the top tier best aspect of collecting is sealed packs and sealed boxes. That retains the experience. It retains the condition of all the cards, that they could potentially be PSA 10s, perfect preserved condition. And the value of the box can outweigh the price of the individual cards. So I hope you all learned something and have a good day.